it's fewer to find, fewer to look through, easier to find the caulk texture. There it is. And it'll say caulk right up here, and when I select it, it'll show in red. And now I can start creating my world, my brushes. And let's start off by creating our first brush. Now, brush, by the way, is a term you brought up by the idea of it's an artist. This is an artist's world, and we have to paint our world. And in the 3D modeling world, it is done in like blocks, like building blocks, sort of like Legos. So we want our brush will look like a block. Now, in order to create your first one, now remember, we're doing a test level. This is going to be a small room that we can just throw in a player spawn point, some light, and then just going. Now, test rooms are used all over the place for just running. I want to make a ladder and make sure it works right. I want to make a door and see how it looks. Test room. I mean, you just throw together a test room, and then you compile it, and you test it out in the game, and boom, you're ready to see how things work. Well, that's what this is going to be like. Now, let's draw out our first block, our room. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to click, left click, and drag, and you'll see a red line start up, and let's just drag across the room, and there you go. Now I have my first brush. And if you look over here in the 3D window and use your arrow keys, you can move forward and back and look side to side, you can see the three-dimensional brush. And now if you look over here, we can see what the brush is looking like. We can change the shape by clicking outside of a wall to drag that wall. And over here. And we can also do the corner. If we click outside the corner and drag that corner, we can change the shape that way. And if we want to move it, we can click inside and drag it around. So that's how we create our brush. And we can do the same thing over here in our up and down window, our Z window. Although when we do it, you can see it over here in the 3D window how it's getting bigger, but it's not necessarily easy to see what we're creating without changing our view. Well, first of all, before we change our view, just know that I created a roughly 600. If you look here, it says Y600 and says X640. Roughly 600 by 600 size room. It's just big enough to quickly run around and make a quick test here. And then over here we have the Z window, which it shows it in black because it's a big solid brush here. But if I'm having trouble seeing what's going on, I can actually hold down the control key and hit the tab key to change my view. So right here I'm in the XY top view. I'm looking from the top down. Hit Control Tab. I'm now in the front view. I'm looking through the front. Hit it again. I'm now looking through the side. Hit it again, and now looking from the top. And now this funky little thing here, that's your camera. That's where you're looking from, right in over here. Okay. And actually you'll see it move if I use the arrow keys. And then click in here. I click in here to refresh where the camera's located. Okay. So now we want to get the height correct. And I'm thinking, well, most rooms would probably be about 128 pixels high. I mean, 28 units high. And that's what these numbers are. These are all units. So let's make something that goes up to about, I don't know, this is a test room, so let's just do 192. This says 192 up here, so I'm going to drag it till it hits 192. Now, if you're having trouble getting it to snap to that correct location, then maybe your grid is the wrong size. Now, by default, your grid is going to be 16 units. That means each one of these little blocks is 16 units, rather than 1 unit at a time. And it makes it easier for just drawing out quick things and snapping to that grid. But if you need to change that, I like to change it to 8 units, because I find that to be a great wall thickness. What you want to do is you want to hit the bracket keys, which is to the right of the P, the letter P. And if I hit the left bracket, it goes down to 8. See it right down here? G, 8. 16, 32, and you can see the grid changing as I do that. Well, that's how you change your grid. And now I've got it down to 8, and that should be good enough. I've got up to 192, down to 0. And now I'm going to show you what is known as a very controversial method of mapping. Generally, what you want to do is you want to draw out everything brush by brush. And that will make sure that you don't have any errors in the map that you can't recover from. I'm talking about errors that make you have to start over from the very, very beginning, which can be horrible, heartbreaking, you know. So what you need to do, but this method here is going to use a hollow method. Now, this method is controversial because it should only ever be used on a square or rectangle single brush. In other words, don't select multiple things and hollow it. Select one square-like brush, hollow that, and that's it. 90% of the time, you won't have an error. That's why I'm saying you might not want to do this, but I want to give you a quick rundown. And using the hollow tool is a quick way to show you, oh, that's the whole overall product that I'm trying to come up with. Okay. I say that because they're going to hit me in the forums later for using this. Okay, so hit the tool. And there you go. Instantly you see I'm now inside of a room. My camera was before inside of a brush, so it couldn't see anything. Now I'm inside of this hollow room. And now one of the other problems that occurs whenever you use a hollow tool is all these brushes end up overlapping each other, which can cause visual issues, which is no good. Actually, if you can look right here, I'm going to zoom into this. I'm going to right-click and drag to move my screen around. Then I'll use the middle mouse wheel to zoom in. Now you can see it's overlapping, and I'll show you over here in the corner too a little bit if I can. These brushes overlap each other, which is not good. We want them to be butt up against each other. And actually later when we optimize, we'll want to miter the corner, which means cut along this, so that instead of having brush, break, brush, we'll have just one long brush, so it's mitered. But that's for an optimization video, not for this one right now. So now we need to get rid of this overlapping. And oh, I don't know if you just heard that sound. That was the sound of my map automatically saving. It's a good time for me to say, you know what? Save and save often, and don't necessarily rely on that autosave. Because imagine if you make a mistake and it autosaves that mistake. You can't go back. So actually right now is a good time to go into saving. I'm going to press the save button, and I'm going to create my own custom map. This already has a defaulted to the map source folder, which is right where we want to be. And I'm going to type test 2. And actually, this is a good point for me to say, are we making a single player or a multiplayer map? I'm going to show you quickly single player, and then I'm going to convert it to multiplayer, okay? Alright, so here we go. Test 2, and then press save. All done. Now we got our map saved. Save and save often, and sometimes save in multiple versions, so you can always go back to something that worked. Okay, now I'm going to zoom back out here, and I'm going to hit the escape key. You might hear me hitting that a lot because I want to make sure I don't accidentally have anything selected. See, whenever something's selected, I hit the escape key. I can deselect it. And now I want to change I want to get the walls out from where the floors are. So I'm going to go around and select all the walls, and I'm going to do that by holding the shift key and then clicking. Click, click. Use the arrow key to turn my view. And I'm going to click and click. And now I can see all my walls are selected. But I want to be able to change the height of the wall. So I'm going to hold down the Control tab to get a side view here.